Hey, this is Michael, and we're going to talk a little bit about setting guitar amps today. Good tone is important, but tuning is more important, so remember, tune your guitar. We are talking about an AC30 today. There are several different amps that you will encounter. Two of the most common are probably a Vox and a Fender amp, AC30, AC15, Fender Deluxe Reverb, things of that nature. Worship music is very dependent on effects, delays, reverbs, drives. They typically respond best to an amp, clean amp, or an amp just on the edge of breakup, and so that's what we're going to go for today. I like to start all EQs at noon or 5 if you have numbers on your dial. And we're going to put the volume right at a spot where you get a clean tone. You can play softly and get a clean tone, but then you can dig in. So right at the edge of breakup is really a good place to start with effects. Okay, so there are a myriad of amp wattages out there. However, the AC15, AC30 are what we're going to talk about. AC30 obviously is a 30 watt amp, and an AC15 is a 15 watt amp. Basically, what that boils down to is an AC30 is going to have a higher wattage, is going to have a higher headroom. When you hit it with effects, or if you put a boost into it, it's going to be able to take a lot more before it starts breaking up. So to give you an example, I have this set right now on 30 watts. This particular amp can do 30 or 15. So for the sake of this, we won't go to an AC15. We'll just use this and turn it into an AC15. But set at 30 watts, you can hear it's right where we set it, right at the edge of breakup. And then if you hit it with a boost, you'll notice it gets significantly louder, but only a little bit dirtier. Okay, so when you turn it to 15 watts, which we can do by just flipping the switch, you'll notice the volume drops significantly. It's half the wattage. So sometimes you'll want to adjust the volume. As you can hear, it's already overdriving. So you have it down there. So if this were your spot and you hit it with the boost, you have less headroom, which means it's going to get a lot more drivey and not that much louder. So now we're going to talk a little bit about effects going into the amp. So we have our amp right at the sweet spot, and we're going to turn on a reverb. And you hear the reverb, rings out clear and clean. Now if you have your amp set too hot, we'll turn it up way too hot, and you play with the reverb, you hear it's all hashy and gross and muddy. That's because the reverb is actually driving the amp, and that is what we do not want at all. So having it right at the edge of breakup is the optimal place for effects. So it's super important to learn your gear, learn your amps, learn your pedals, the gain structure of everything, and knowing what's happening to get the optimal tone and have your effects ring out clearly.